Now available in paperback and e-readers, Spellbound, A Darker Shade of Black. Get your copy today at your favorite online bookseller. Last week I presented a video called The Spellbound Negro, and that was just an overview of the material I will be discussing this week as I launch my brand new novel, Spellbound, which was now available in paperback, and today on Halloween will be coming to ebook platforms such as Kindle, Smashwords, and the iBookstore. And today I'm going to be discussing the most spellbound individual in the Afro-American Negro community. Now, many believe that the Afro-American Negro male is the most spellbound Negro in the community. However, that's not the case at all. The most spellbound individual in the Afro-American Negro community is the Afro-American Negro female. Now, when it comes down to your Afro-American Negro woman, she's pretty much been following in the footsteps of that ragdoll dance, like she's been entranced for over a century. However, over the last 40 years, as she has gained economic and political power, she, in her spellbound mind, has turned her black community into a fascist state. And under the control of her fascist state, she has began changing the culture so that it fits this narrative of what she believes black should be. Because in her mind, black has to fit within a white box and through a white lens in order to be considered the real black. And because she is spellbound by the idea of deifying white men and worshiping white men, she makes every effort to make black culture fit into that one box and be that one way of black. Because in the mind of your Afro-American Negro woman, she believes that if she makes black fit within white, then she has a possible opportunity at pursuing a relationship with the white man she deifies. This is primarily the whole foundation of why your Afro-American Negro woman is spellbound. And because she is so spellbound, again, she has turned her black community into a cultural fascist state. And under the rules of this cultural fascist state, everybody black has to follow a certain group of parameters in order to be considered acceptable in her eyes and to have safe passage within her black community. If you do not follow these unwritten social rules, you will be punished by this Afro-American Negro woman in the most severe ways. Because when it comes down to this Afro-American Negro woman, everybody has to follow lockstep in those social rules. And those social rules pretty much dictate everything from the way somebody wears their hair, to the way they wear their clothes, and to the persona and personality that they express. Because in the black community that is controlled by this spellbound woman, she pretty much wants everybody to be the same, act the same, walk the same, talk the same, and think the same. The whole foundation of the whole groupthink of this culture was taught to many of these Afro-American Negroes, again, by these spellbound Negro women who pretty much came out of the feminist movement in the 60s and the 70s. And because these black women were trying to make themselves into an image that they thought would be equal to white women, they wound up changing the culture of the black community overall. Because if you look at the black culture after the feminist movement, we clearly see a complete shift from the traditional values of black women of old. Now, your traditional black women pretty much believed in a culture where they knew they were black women, they knew they had to support their men, they knew they had to stand at the side of their men, and they knew that the black man was the leader and the head of the household. However, after the feminist movement, we had these black women who were argumentative, combative, uncooperative, and rude, and they wanted to be the leaders of the black community. They believed they could lead better than the black man. They believed they could control the black community, and as they got the economic and political power, they began creating a culture in the black community that allowed them to pretty much dictate the terms of the culture. And because they are dictating the terms of the culture, again, this is why we have this fascist state within the black community, where everybody, again, has to be one version of black. And if you are not that version of black, then you're going to run into problems with this Afro-American Negro woman and her enforcers, which are many of these males who come from these single mother households who have been growing up, again, under the whole mindset of this black female, which tells them they have to be one way in order to be black. And if you go outside of those social norms, then you're going to have trouble with this Afro-American Negro because he's following in the footsteps of the ragdoll dance, entranced by the Negro female who taught him the culture, and she in turn is following behind the white male she deifies. So if you try to walk off that road, you are going to have problems. Now, the person who has the most problems is not just outsiders like myself, but many African American women who decide they don't want to drink the poison Kool-Aid that was given to the spellbound Negro female. Now, these females pretty much they want to go out and live their lives and be the black they want to be. However, whenever they try to be a different type of black that is not one of these prescribed stereotypes presented by this white liberal or these spellbound Negro women, such as the hood rat, the strong independent black woman, or the pro-black female, this is when they run into a tremendous amount of resistance. Because when you're trying to go out and be on your own and do your own thing as a black woman that does not fit within one of these prescribed stereotypes, that's when the fascist state of the Afro-American Negro woman will start to put the hammer on you. And the first way they will do that is trying to isolate this black female. And then when that doesn't work, they come out with the shaming language, talking about, again, you are acting white, you're trying to be white, you're talking like a white girl, you're into white girl things, and you are a handkerchief head. And if that doesn't work, then this Negro female will come out here then with, again, more ad hominem attacks talking about you're a lesbian or some sort of trying to associate you with some sort of sexual deviancy. And they'll make rumors and stuff and start spreading gossip about you being some sort of weird. And then when that doesn't work, this again is what the Negro playbook is. They will start going into passive aggressive things like stealing your items, breaking things, hiding things, and other passive aggressive behaviors. And then when that doesn't work, then we get into the physical confrontations and acts of physical violence. Because what this spellbound Negro female is trying to do is she is trying to make this individual conform to what she wants the standard of black to be. Because she wants all black women to follow lockstep down the roads that were subscribed for black women. And she feels that if anyone goes outside of those roads, then what's going to happen is she's not going to have power and control over the collective of black females. Now, that was one of the reasons why I wrote Spellbound, and one of the reasons why I kind of dressed the bully characters in Spellbound as the Queen Bee. The bully character of Chantel is dressed like a bee. She's wearing a yellow and black striped polo shirt and black pants because I'm trying to symbolize what the bee is. Because the Queen Bee is the leader of the hive, and she is the one who sends the drones out to enforce her policies and to collect the honey for her. So the Queen Bee dictates everything in the black community. And because the Queen Bee is the head of the black community right now in a de facto state, she pretty much controls the rules and the terms. And she wants to make sure that all the drones are following in her footsteps and that they are doing everything she wants done. And this is what the Queen Bee, does. And she will terrorize other insects and other animals in the community to make sure everything is going her way. And when it comes down to the black community, the Queen Bee always sends out her drones to make sure that things are going her way. She has a big mouth and a bad attitude, and then she makes sure that her beta enforcers, get things done her way. Now, this spellbound female, she has some enemies in the black community. And one of her biggest enemies is the light-skinned female. Now, the light-skinned female, the spellbound Negro woman doesn't like because she represents competition to her for the attention of men, especially the white man she deifies. She believes that if this light-skinned female is in the circle, what's going to happen is she's not going to be able to get the attention of the males that she wants, especially that white male she deifies. So she does everything she does to make sure that this light-skinned female is either an ally that follows her values or conforms to her values. So she will try to force this female to do things the way she wants done. Now, the other greatest enemy of this spellbound female is the biracial female, especially if this biracial female comes from a household where she is born from a white father. Now, the spellbound Negro woman pretty much hates biracial women, and she hates the biracial woman who has been born of a white father because she knows that the biracial woman who's been born from a white father pretty much comes from a different narrative and a different set of values than that has been subscribed to her. So she really wants to make every effort to eliminate biracial women from her social circle because she can't control the social circle if the biracial woman's values pretty much are contradictory to her own, and she is discussing a different narrative than that of her own ideas. So she wants to definitely eliminate biracial women from her social circle. And whenever there is a biracial woman in her circles, a biracial black woman, especially one that comes from a household with a white father, she is going to make every effort to try to eliminate that female from her social circle. Because when it comes down to this spellbound Negro woman, this is like a lethal predator to her, the biracial woman. She is scared to death of this female because, again, in her social circle, when it comes down to these spellbound Negroes, the closer you get to white, the more chances that they believe that this woman is, worthy of their attention. So the black female, she pretty much wants to get rid of this biracial female because she feels threatened by her because she, one, is biologically closer to white, and two, she comes from that different culture and sees the world from that different perspective. And those two things threaten her whole hive because if somebody's coming in and they pretty much are not coming from your narrative and come with a different set of values, they can pretty much disrupt the entire flow of that whole hive and that whole hive mind way of thinking because everybody's still thinking one way, and then you have this person who pretty much presents core values that refute all of the ideas that you have about black, and especially if this person comes from a white father, they pretty much refute the whole idea of this whole deification process that many of these Afro-American Negro women have regarding white men, because the biracial woman who comes from the white father, she pretty much comes from a perspective that is completely different than that of a black woman who was born of a white mother. Now, the black woman who was born of a white mother comes from the idea that she's been taught a white female culture. So a lot of black females, because they want to get closer to white, have no problem with her. However, the black female who comes from the white father, this is the one she really will lay her sights in and want to destroy because, again, she comes from a different culture. One, her black mother is a teacher of culture, and because her black mother taught her a culture that is a little bit more balanced than this Afro-American Negro woman and the way she came from that single mother household, she has a different view. And two, she has a completely different view of white men, especially if that white male is in the home with her, as I described in Spellbound with the Matilda character. Now, the Matilda character comes from a home with a white father who is in the home with her. So she doesn't come from the view of deifying the white man. Again, in her eyes, the white man is just an ordinary man, and he is her father, and he is somebody she's having a relationship with. So he's just a person to her. He is not the God many of these Afro-American Negro women see every day. So this is one of the reasons why your black female pretty much hates these biracial women who have white fathers, because their view and their values are completely different than that of the biracial woman who comes from the white female household. And they also hate them because, again, they refute the narratives and the ideas, and they pretty much lived a different experience than that of your black female who, again, comes from the black community and has this, objectified and deified idea of what black women are. And not black women, white men are. I mean, white men, they have a deified idea of what white men are. I'm sorry about that. But this Afro-American Negro woman, pretty much, she's spellbound, and she doesn't want anybody, primarily, to break the spell off the minds of these other Afro-American Negroes. She will make efforts, again, to try to destroy any woman who does not fit within her culture and within her narrative. So she's going to go out here and make every effort to try to bully this female out of the circle because she wants to be the queen bee. And in order for her to be the queen bee, everybody has to be, again, following lockstep behind her and doing what they are told. But when you try to explain this to the Afro-American Negro, he is going to give you resistance. He's going to, again, tell you that this isn't true, that your black woman is not like this, but it's shown in his actions, because this is why many of these hoteps and these pro-blacks will sit there and call this black woman a queen, a goddess, and they will worship her because they want to follow lockstep behind her. They see her as their queen, they see him as their goddess, and they are her drones. And she wants to keep these drones up under her control because she believes if she keeps the drones up under her control, then she can continue to control the hive that is the black community. This is something I can agree with what the guy from the Obsidian Network, when he calls it the Borg hive mind, because this is what the queen bee wants to do. She wants to continue to control the thinking of the community. She wants to continue controlling the culture of the black community, and she wants to rule over the black community in the hopes of keeping everyone under control. And if you start to go outside of her way of thinking, she is the one who is going to try to make every effort to slap you down and even in some cases try to destroy you. And this is what is going on in your black community right now. This is why she reigns a reign of terror. And she reigns that reign of terror because she has, again, drones to support her, such as these pro-blacks, these thugs, these gang members, all these people who pretty much fit her prescribed notion of black, which fits within the white lens. And as long as she keeps that control, everything is okay. But when you start going outside of her box and start exploring things like science fiction or fantasy or the goth subculture, or you're just born biracial of a white father, then your Afro-American Negro woman has a serious problem with you. These are considered rogues and interlopers, and these people who are free thinkers, she wants to pretty much, again, eliminate them from the circle. And she will do everything in her power to eliminate individuals from the circle so she can control the circle. And the big problem with this Negro woman who thinks in the spellbound way is that she pretty much hates herself, she hates everything about herself, and she teaches a culture of self-hatred to others because in her mind, everybody has to fit within the white version of black instead of trying to define black on their own. And that's one of the reasons why she hates these other people, is because they're going out and defining black, and if they go out and try to define their own version of black, it will challenge her own ideas of black and make other people start thinking about her, a little bit more objectively. And as they start thinking about her more objectively, what they're going to do is start asking some hard questions like, why can't this black female, step up? Why can't she get herself together? Why is it that she's always thinking in the way of being a victim? And she doesn't want people starting to ask those questions regarding her. If people start looking at these other black people, like these black sci-fi people, fantasy people, black goths, and other free thinkers, what they're going to do is, again, start asking those questions. And because she wants to maintain control over the fascist state, she doesn't want anyone asking questions. So that's why she makes every effort to try to silence any other black person out here who represents a narrative that does not fit her own. So when those people start coming around, she, again, wants to censor them or silence them because she knows she can't conform them because they have learned a completely different set of culture, a completely different set of ideas, and they have no interest in conforming to her because their values are completely different. So she's going to try to eliminate those people from those social circles and make every effort to destroy them because she wants there only to be one version of black, and if that version of black cannot exist, then she's got a problem with everyone who does not represent that. So she wants to make sure, again, there's only one version of black, and that version of black is defined by her terms, her ideas of what black is, and that's the only black she wants to be seen in the world. That is the only black culture she wants to be taught, and that's the only black she wants to be seen by the white man she deifies. You can pick up, again, Spellbound in paperback and e-readers today. It's a great book, and it's a great commentary on black culture, black identity, and it's a book that will really make you think.